Welcome to the Too Much Dip podcast. My name is Dave. Joining me in studio, sitting behind the producer's desk, it's Randy Tremacki.
Hi, David.
He who is wacky, the wacky one himself.
Tis I. I am just a fan of the worst team in baseball.
Oh,
I think still. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. They have been for a while.
they are bad.
Yeah.
They are bad. They are bad. Not good, but that's okay.
But we're going to
White
a game.
Sox.
We're going to Chicago, right?
Are you going to catch a game while we're up there?
Oh, we could.
I asked you.
It's going to be versus the Rockies, who are I believe the second worst team. So it actually might be a good game.
A tank off.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have much else. Sports.
Cool. That was good, though. What you contributed there will be noteworthy.
Thank you.
No Dylan today. Dylan is out this afternoon, but we got somebody else. He's always here. You know him. He's in Madison. It's KJ.
What's up, David? Happy to be here with you fellas. Is that stolen valor?
I don't know. I guess I don't stream or follow streams enough to really understand what he's got in his bag. Of course, we're talking about, is it Sketch?
Sketch.
Sketch?
What's up, brother?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I don't. What's the staying power on that? He's got millions of followers, right? And he's making it like hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. So who the fuck am I? I just don't. I haven't watched.
Yeah, but I've never really watched a stream. I'm just very familiar with him. Special plays, special players, special teams, something like that.
No, it seems like a nice.
It is.
Nice young man.
I guess I'll go to my well of references. It's definitely the beer Rita of the current algorithm. Like, you didn't know about this 6 months ago. It might have been a thing somewhere to someone, and now you see it everywhere all the time. And the algorithm has decided that across many platforms, this talented creator will be a part of nomenclature, and I don't hate it. You know, he saved me, as I shared with you fellas, in a teen interaction in my neighborhood the other day, as a neighbor hit me with a "What's up, brother?" And I couldn't verbally respond in the moment, but I did throw up the single one finger, which some say was inspired by Dave's one memes, but it saved me. The kid lost his mind. I guess 14 to 15-ish year old kid did not expect late 30s new neighbor to know Sketch, and I felt great.
Yeah, you should tell him about the show. See if he wants to listen, like, and subscribe. I forgot.
I don't know how I my elevator pitch is weak.
I forgot about that interaction. That's great. I don't really want to talk to anyone in that demographic outside of my niece and nephew, and it's already hard enough talking to them. Like, they come over for, like, we all go to my parents' place, go to the pool Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, whatever. It used to be I could, like, roughhouse with my nephew, and now he's like at the age where it's like he's not argumentative. He's a great kid, as is my niece, but it's like you can tell that the novelty of Uncle Dave is worn off a little bit.
The angst is rising.
Yeah, they're just kind of like,
Inner
yeah,
teen
man,
angst.
that's cool. Your bits just we've seen this play before. We know your entire playbook. We're gonna look at our phones for the next hour.
Yeah, I've been meaning to tell you about the new social network I've joined recently. I mentioned in the past, I've moved in January into a new house here in the Madison area. Lovely home.
Well, that set you back.
Shout out to, enough, too much, some might say, not enough. We'll talk. I don't know. We'll talk with the claims adjuster if I spent enough. We'll see. But shout out to Eric Shanks for all your realty needs here in the Madison area. One nice benefit of this house, we've got a community pool. Previously had my own pool. Great experience, exclusive, albeit. But I don't know that I was fully prepared for like the new social hierarchy of like gathering as a parent at a community pool. And I'll tell you, It's whatever you imagine going to a new gym might be like, plus attending a new daycare, plus attending like a sporting event, all combined in one. Like the amount of peacocking going on, plus anxiety, plus like you're responsible for this 4-year-old who's going to full blown face plant into a kiddie pool 5 minutes after arrival, effectively ending his day at the pool. Like it's a whole situation, and I'll continue to take notes, but I don't know if I'm ready for it.
Yeah, the community pool seems intimidating, especially like the neighborhood specific one. Now, we do the
Correct.
Lifetime Gym, which
Hmm.
is nothing like that. It's great. It's a big pool. The only issue we're having is they have like some legitimate water slides that uh not not ready for it. My 3.5-year-old is just not ready. He's not big enough. He's still got the Spider-Man floaty device. So
Oh yeah.
the biggest issue we have is like telling him like, "Hey man, remember last time when I spent about 12 minutes telling you why you couldn't go on that? That still applies this weekend too." So that's where we're at. But the neighborhood one I could kind of see. And you can't go in there just kind of half-ass. You got to go in there correct. You got to maybe have like a new Rowback bathing suit on. Use code WASH20 for 20% off. Fill your entire cart. It's a one-time use code. You understand what I'm saying though? They've also got great hats and polos that also play well at the pool.
Yeah, KJ.
100%. Uh, I have not spent more time thinking about what I'm going to wear to any place or location outside of coming to the studio in Austin. Uh, I don't know, last fall or whenever it was, uh, than I am going to the pool. And Roback has been the first destination.
Do you shy away from rocking the SMU? Um, I don't know how much SMU football or school gear you have. You're wearing an SMU polo right now, I imagine. But do you wear that to the pool? Like just to kind of like say, look, man, this is what I'm repping. Or do you avoid it because you don't want people to come up and be like, hey, what happened with Keelan Russell? Why is he
It's
what?
definitely the latter.
Okay.
Uh, as I'm like in the feel out, okay, who's a regular here? Who do I need to be avoiding? Who should I interact with? Who might actually work with me? As I discovered yesterday, like at the tail end of like a 20-minute discussion,
Mm.
realized like I've been in several large meeting environments via Zoom with this other person,
Oh wow. I hope you hadn't
and that we
brought
have
out
similar roles. All
your Biden jokes.
no, but I'm just glad that we didn't meet like during an actual work time, which not saying it's not going to happen, but it
Yeah.
went like 2 o'clock on a Thursday, and we're running into each other. Um, so yeah, I've made the decision the few times we've been so far to be very unidentifiable when it comes to clothing, with the exception of like coming correct style wise, which means no Texas based gear, no SMU based gear, no show based or wash based gear at this time.
That's no fun.
Yeah, KJ, I grew up at a neighborhood pool, so if you have any questions, just let me know.
Please.
I got years at neighborhood pool.
He's got years of
Okay.
neighborhood pool
I
experience.
was a pool attendant that was my first job from 15 to 18. I was a pool attendant at our neighborhood pool.
Well, that's a question I do have for you, Randy. Like, what authority do they actually, in fact, have?
Uh,
Because
to,
two times we've just been like, yeah, Ellis family, and they're like, they open the book and they're like, yeah, you're good. I'm like,
Yeah,
you're not looking.
you're a teenager. You don't really care. We're not
You don't
lifeguards.
care.
All we're supposed to do is supposed to check pool passes, and reality is supposed to be the community people will come up to you and give you your pool pass, and you go, all right, you're good to go. And if they don't, you just like, have I seen them before? Yeah, okay, they're good. Like that's pretty much
Oh,
all the pool attendants do, and they clean.
fair. Ours almost got cleared out by we had a little 15-mile-an-hour wind gust take an umbrella completely deployed up, and he was not paying attention. And had he been sitting in his seat, he would have got cold clocked by this umbrella. But luckily,
Yeah.
he was standing up doing something like a foot away, and it like wiped out his chair. Anyways,
Come
almost saw a
on.
man get impaled by an umbrella, and that would have been a lot.
Hey, that when you're in your teens, you're doing that. All you're doing is being on your phone, or you're doing your summer reading for school. That's the only two things you do.
If it had been me, I would have just held on to the umbrella and gotten airborne like David Blaine. But that's
Hit him
me.
with the Curious George.
I'm just, yeah. Yeah, see ya.
Mary Poppins style.
Mary Poppins style.
Exactly. Look at
Um,
our like degrading references there. Or not degrading, but all of them were worse than the one before.
hey, how do you think it was going on the Golf Channel last week for the coverage of that Pro-Am? I don't know if you saw the clip. I know you're familiar with the entire coaching staff of the Citadel, specifically one Everett Sands, who was playing in said Pro-Am, as was friend of the show, friend of a previous show a long time ago, Bryce Butler, former Cowboy great. Um, you probably saw it. It made the rounds end of last week, but I just wanted to laugh about it because, of course, Everett Sands, who I believe is a running back coach, an assistant coach, nonetheless, at the Citadel, was painfully mistaken for noted Texas quarterback Vince Young. And come to find out, they have some things in common. Looks not really one of them. Vince Young is a very large individual, as you might be aware. That was kind of his hallmark in college. He's like, this dude is big and fast. Everett Sand's not that big. And the young lady from the Golf Channel who's just trying to do a little man on the street stuff, or woman on the street, woman on the course, like, hey, what's up? What's up, VY? Gives him this nice intro. She hits him, I believe, with the arguably one of the best college quarterbacks ever. I don't really think that's an arguable thing. I don't think you needed that. Anyway, realizes when he gracefully is like, I am not Vince Young. I am just a coach of the Citadel. She freezes. She just leaves the mic there, and he he gives her every out. Like, please, just you could end this now. She doesn't. She just runs with it.
First off, shout out to Everett Sands because I know this. If this were 2022, he would not get much attention because little arms were nowhere to be found in this photo. The man looked jacked. That's all I keep seeing, aside from the fact that I'm not seeing Vince Young in the image as he's like walking up the course. Is like the guy is fit, full blown in shape without question. The offensive skills specialist. I don't know what that title actually means. I'm sure he doesn't really either. Former UTSA running backs coach. I thought he handled it as gracefully as possible. I think the most important thing here, both for her sake and his, from an awareness standpoint, is that Vince Young was at the event.
Yes.
Somewhere present in that zip code, time zone, location, and point in history, Vince Young was also there. Because if he was not, you probably got the internet, who probably wasn't very kind to her prior to seeing the photo of those two together. Like, it's just not going to wear well if you just out of the blue picked Vince Young.
Yeah, you're right. And I imagine she had someone in her ear, a producer, being like, oh, that's Vince Young. Go talk to him. Even though, again, Vince Young is 6'5", and also not, I assume, not in shape. No offense to Vince Young, but every time I've seen him, look, he's not, I'm not saying he's let it go that much, but he doesn't carry himself like Everett Sands. Everett Sands, again, is quite jacked. Vince Young, 6'5", and famously, just kind of VY out there playing some golf. I saw him out at Grey Rock playing one day a couple years ago. He's apparently a very nice guy. He's got his name on a steakhouse here in Austin. And it's quite good.
Still,
I think so.
in fact, and
I
agree. I think it's still there. I think PF Chang's we lost at one point in time, but I think the steakhouse is still rocking. Vince Young showed up looking, more vet than one would expect. He, like myself, no glass house here. We got some water retention here in the jowls, if you will. So Vince, if you don't see the full length, you can question his physique at times. But Everett might be happy to be called 5'11". So it's definitely a mistake.
Yeah. That I was pretty worried for her. I felt really like I was just like, this isn't gonna go well for you either. And the fact that I don't even know her name, that's probably a good sign. I don't think she was a Golf Channel A team, clearly, but
No, and I can give it to you, Lauren Withrow,
we got to be better
who's
about.
welcome to appear on Too Much Dip at any point in time of her choosing, share her side of the story and her experiences as a young media professional.
Okay, what if we had her on the show? What athlete could we convince her you were, and see how long we could get away with it for the entire show?
This is former Texas Tech safety Dwayne Slay joining us here on Too Much Dip. Like I'd have to go like somewhat familiar, but only to people from like a niche awareness of like one moment in history.
I would convince her that I'm former Tech quarterback BJ Simmons.
I'd buy that. You could say you're Case McCoy for all I know. Like
I'm one of the Shipley
just
brothers.
on keto.
I was the best Shipley
Yes,
brother.
exactly.
I'm the one who like only played a year and I blew my knee out, but I was actually not only the best, but I was the funniest.
Burns. Wow. Bernie's own Jackson Shipley.
That's
is
right.
Um,
You know, one of the Shipley bros
Facts.
works out at Lifetime, and it's always bizarre to me, just because he's there and he's just like a normal guy, and it's just weird seeing him because he's in great shape. Don't get me wrong, but he blends in with the other guys at the gym, and I'm like, you shouldn't blend in if you even had a cup of coffee in the league, like you shouldn't.
Jordan Shipley. If it's Jordan, he's one darker here, it appears. Man, he could write a hell of a country album. Just looking at
That's
him.
him.
So yeah. Anywho, you want to stick to golf before we like commiserate on basketball for a bit and just talk about this upcoming weekend?
You want to talk betting odds? The U.S. Open Pinehurst #2. You're gonna be
Sequels
surprised.
are always better.
Surprised to learn Scotty Scheffler is your odds-on favorite, plus 300.
Was it
Fresh
5
off
and
of a
8
win.
starts?
What a tear. What a tear. Do you dare bet against Scotty, new father?
Absolutely. And only because I feel like we've started our years this way. Last 2 seasons, I feel we've always got somebody who's on a heater with the first 2 majors or whatever. And winning a tournament in between and winning a major will evoke this sort of, you got to bet this guy going into the next major without question. Without question, here's your odds on favorite. Here's who we're going with. And I get it. It always makes sense. But then we look back at the end of the year, and at no point in time have I ever felt that golf, barring Tiger, obviously, has gotten to the point of like Max Verstappen dominance of like, you bet on this guy, you watch for the entertainment, you don't expect another outcome. That's not where Scotty is yet. So I would say if we're talking Scotty versus the field, he is not deserving of like that Tiger Woods approach.
That's fair. At some point, the 4-week-old has got to catch up to him, right? Or is it being a multi-millionaire who went? Is that does he have the ability to kind of miss out on the glaring lack of sleep and things of that nature?
You got to think that at that income bracket, you've got a Whoop band or something that is tracking your rim a little bit more accurately than whatever, the likes of us are dealing with.
He's got the outlet.
Gravel voice there for a second.
He's got the outlet. He's tracking the numbers on that baby.
I would imagine he's got like a grown adult outlet, a dadlet. Like you
What's the dadlet?
Not say that you'd be a PGA. It's an outlet for men. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but it's so the baby knows that Pops is doing all right. Pops will be here in a minute.
Okay, I like that.
It's just on the big toe of dad. Just it's a little light green toe wrap. So you know that dad's prepared.
You got to keep that thing
on
clean.
his way with the bottle.
God, you could imagine what the dadlet would smell like, because the baby one, man, if you don't wipe that thing clean, Baby feet stink too. And dad feet certainly stink, as we've learned. As far as other golfers worth noting, can I just put this out there? I've got two, and these aren't exactly dark horses. Two other golfers, please. I'm running back my Colin Morikawa runner up to Scotty this last weekend. Give me Colin or give me Ludwig Aberg.
Okay.
Aberg. Give me Ludwig. Give me the
22 to
Swede.
1. What's going on with John Rahm? Because I would say John Rahm was that guy who fit the profile of what I was talking about last couple of years of dominant, won a major, won another tournament. You go into the second or third major of the year, and like his name is the one out there, and by the end of the year, you're like, oh, had a good year. What's happening right now with John Rahm?
Well, more recently withdrew from the live event in Houston over the weekend with I believe a foot issue. I saw a foot infection. I wonder if that's athlete's foot again with the dad foot. You gotta be careful.
Didn't clean his dadlet.
Did not clean his dadlet allegedly. That and look, if you want to tie it to a narrative, he just hasn't been great since the live move. Maybe he's feeling the burden. He's that weight. He's feeling bad about it. He's even in his comments, you can kind of see a little bit of it leading up to the Masters. It was like, oh, there might be a little bit of hint of regret. He doesn't have the same approach as like Brooks Koepka. I don't know, but he's not been informed, and I would not put money on a guy who just withdrew due to a foot infection because it just sounds nasty, to quote the great Ray Wiley Hubbard. So I don't know. He didn't get the invite with Brooks Koepka and the boys to go to Trillburgers in Houston. He didn't get that.
Well, he's not a GC.
He's not Smash, but he would have liked. He could have sat at a nearby table and enjoyed a delicious Trillburger. Shout out Bun B.
Fair. So yeah, I guess if John Rahm doesn't have the tough acting Tenactin on his side to handle what he needs to do to get out there and perform at a high level.
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and throw, if I'm with access to a sports book and I'm not going for one of the favorites that David's already mentioned, maybe a little Thigala action.
Sahith, 55 to 1.
Southern Californian's own by way of India.
Thank you. Thank you for understanding that. It's a 3-year-old story.
But yeah, give me Thigala. I feel like I might be completely screwing this up, but did he not make some noise a couple of weeks back? And GFD, if I'm wrong and getting him mixed up. Yeah, no, he was tied for 12 this last week. So
making real serious noise with that T12.
Eight back from Scheffler.
You know what? You'll take it.
It doesn't even look pretty. So don't look for justification. Give me Thigala. I've already locked it in. Every other reason is just not going to make me look well.
That's okay. Okay. If I got to reach back into some dark horses, give me Max Homa.
Okay. I think it would be good for the game, in heavy quotations, for Homa to get a win. No different than like a Ricky Fowler. Obviously not a household name, but present and involved across the board on social medias.
Yeah, if you're online, he's a household name.
And golf needs a little bit of that this time of year because this is when things trail off until the Open.
Sure. Agree. That's a good point. And we already know the ratings are not great. Even though we have like a historically good player at the top of a historically good player, recent dad, and alleged felon, charges dropped, who was arrested. And I don't know if you saw the rest of that body cam footage and whatnot. Did you hear the stuff when he was in the holding cell and the other cops are mixing it up with him? That was kind of fun to hear. They're like, dude, what are you doing, man?
I'm going to give him credit for dodging any request to like rank the races by the officers or anything like that. He at no point in time did he embarrass himself at a level that was irredeemable. He was very human. He was very humble. I don't know if I fully buy the shake voice. My hands are shaking, man. Like, as somebody who has feigned over nerves to a cop once or twice in his life, that felt all too familiar. So I'm glad that he's okay. Also, shouts to Officer Gillis for the photo of his knee coming to light. And the famed $80 pants.
Yeah.
Just nothing looked good. Nothing looked good. But thanks for the day of memes we will not soon forget.
Was that a play for some kind of disability? I don't know. I mean, a cop injured on the job, like you get some kind, you know what I mean? Obvious workplace incident. It's
Why would you write anything down or say in that 10 hour, like it's not even 10 hours. The report of the $80 came like that same day because as we know, Scotty was back golfing 4 hours later, 3 hours later or whatever. So for you at some point to like have this interaction and then at some point check a box, write this down and write down like this happened and then write down the dollar amount and like actually be filing for reimbursement or whatever. You should have stopped down and said, this is one of those times where I don't want a paper trail.
Yeah.
Even if it goes my way, I don't need my name written in more lines than they need to be.
Yeah. I wonder if he just didn't realize how big of a deal this was going to be. And because a lot of people just now learning how much freestyling, how much they can put into a charging instrument and get away with, or think they can get away with. Happens quite often. In arrests. But oops, it was the number
Very
one.
understated masterclass in how to tightrope walk. That was very, very beautifully done.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh man, I feel like I could walk on a tightrope with my balance and my strength lately because I've been using Fitbod, baby. It's like having your own personal trainer, but better. It's cheaper, can work out anywhere with or without equipment, and it's easy to build a custom fitness plan that works for you. Fitbod creates a personalized workout routine based on your goals, fitness level, and available equipment. For example, I got some leftover kettlebells in my garage gym from COVID. I got a couple. My wife has some like 10-pound dumbbells in there. Let's say I want to do a home workout. I can go into Fitbod, tell them this is the equipment I got. Give me something, and they'll do it. Fitbod adapts as you improve, so each workout will be challenging and push you to make progress. It also tracks your muscle recovery. This is huge, KJ. Tracks the data so you can avoid burnout and keep up your momentum. Fine-tuned by experienced, certified personal trainers to bring best practices and exercise science to you. Important here, learn new movements the right way. So if there's something I need to try, they're saying, hey, do this modified deadlift or deadlift variation. They have over 1,000 HD demonstration videos. How about that? You just go check them out. Add Fitbod to your workout essentials. Join Fitbod today to get your personalized workout plan. Get 25% off your subscription or try the app free at fitbod.me/bang. That's fitbod.me/bang. Try a little basketball here. Let's see if I can do this without crying, getting a little choked up. Not looking good for the good guys. Mavs down 0-2.
I feel like I'm like putting off. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step all over this, but I wanted to quickly give us the opportunity to get it out of the way. Or can we do another story before we get into this? Can we do the Lakers?
Why?
I don't know. I dread how my mental health is going to be with these 2 days in between games.
Well, KJ, that's why this show is brought to you by BetterHelp. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's talk Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley said, that's cool. I will not be coaching the Los Angeles Lakers. So
Remind me again who Dan Hurley is.
UConn.
Okay.
Back-to-back national champion coach.
Boo.
Yeah, Randy, I'm sorry. Come on, man.
I know against UConn and have everything against Dan Hurley. That guy sucks.
Okay, fair, fair. Um,
$70 million, 6 years, 70 million on the table, and he's like, you know what? As much as that sounds great, I'm gonna stay in Connecticut with my family,
yeah, it's a lot of
where I got all the leeway in the world.
a lot of change where he had like a make a wish moment for his walk on son during a national championship. Like, no, you're not leaving the opportunity to continue creating moments like that uh, with all the control in the world to go get ridiculed by the worst media and fan base on planet Earth, where anything short of like a national title is going to be ripped to shreds. Nah.
Yeah, I wanted to fight with you on that when you said worst media and worst fan base, and I was like thinking Boston, and I was thinking Knicks, New York. I think you're right. So I'm not going to even fuss with you. You're right. They are the worst fan base. They have the biggest. They are the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. So there you go. Even though they've obviously had more success recently than the Cowboys, don't email me. Email Randy at washmedia.com.
Sure.
And part of that probably goes to post LeBron. You probably have an argument of saying another fan base or media base would be worse. But anywhere that LeBron goes, you're going to get that extra level of attention and scrutiny.
Very true.
I'm beginning to wonder, because we have to really acknowledge that this is now the third or fourth coach that publicly has been tied to consideration here. You can say whether or not, or I guess maybe fourth or fifth. Originally, we had Jason Kidd and Ty Lue. Their names floated out there, and then they got extensions with their team. Ty Lue with the Clippers, Jason Kidd with the Mavericks, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the J.J. Redick saga. And then Dan Hurley's name began to be floated as the J.J. Redick hype was going on, which I kind of perceived as Dan Hurley's agents either getting him more money or the Lakers trying to put pressure on JJ, saying, okay, well, we're going to continue on to our other candidates. And discussions with Dan Hurley were brought up or put together of like Lakers beginning to target Dan Hurley. And then you get Dan Hurley says the Lakers put together a compelling package yesterday was the headline. And then early this morning, I see the headline, former University of Virginia head coach Jay Wright considered for the Lakers job. Next headline was Dan Hurley's decision expected today. Similar to the overlap between JJ and Dan Hurley, we got that again today. And so I was quickly like, yeah, either he's already told them no, or they're trying to put pressure saying, okay, if you're not saying yes today, we've got our next person in line. My question is, if you're a coach of competence, do you want this job? Would you like this gig?
I don't see how you could leave a great situation for that job, given what I imagine you're about to discuss and where that team's going to be over the next few years. With the current roster and the age of that roster, the injury history of that roster. If you're JJ Redick, who is still a candidate, okay. You go give it a year with LeBron and Anthony Davis. You were a playoff, go give it a run. And if it fails, you go back to your media job. You're fine. You've got a podcast. It's quite successful. You can probably run it back with LeBron. The other candidate's name, the assistant over in New Orleans, what's his name? James Borrego. That's the other name you're hearing.
Oh,
I don't know. Do you leave New Orleans for that job? Probably so. But if you're Dan Hurley, you don't leave a chance at go. You just went back to back. Go for the fucking three-peat. See if a better college job opens up. It probably will. Or there's going to be a better job, NBA job that opens up, most likely. So yeah, just wait. Don't do that. And some people just aren't LA
and
people.
it's fact, without question. Like, not just the media, not just the environment, but taxes start to come into play.
Gavin
If
Newsom.
you care about that sort of thing, Gavin Newsom might come into play. But It's weird when you see a job this prestigious. And again, we only really have the Mavs to compare, not Mavs, jeez, the Cowboys to compare to this. The Knicks, I guess. But like it took decades for the prestige to wear off of that to the point where they were just hiring anybody. And once they got a coach of like repute, like they're doing well again. Um, but you think about the Cowboys head coach searches, and Mike McCarthy's kind of the biggest name that they've, hired as a coach outside of Parcells whenever, 15 years ago. The Lakers just got done having Darvin Ham as their head coach. Like,
D-Ham.
it's weird that they're targeting like the back-to-back college champion head coach, the head coach for college before that, JJ Redick being an exception, Ty Lue and Jason Kidd, like decorated head coaches in the NBA. And you look at their history of head coaches, and it hasn't been that. Ty Lue hadn't coached. Well, I guess he coached with the Cavs. That does not track at all. But like Darvin Ham, like you're dealing with coaches not at a tier where you're talking about the best in the market coming to coach on that team. And
it's like 7
to your
different
point
coaches.
about what that team's going to look like. Yeah. To your point about what that team is going to look like. Sorry, I got sidetracked looking at looking for the coach history. After 2025, here are your free agents if you're the Lakers. LeBron James, 2025, his current contract ends. He has an opt-in available this summer, which all signs point to him doing or opting out and re-signing for more money. But Anthony Davis, 2025, D'Angelo Russell, Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, all free agents after next year. You would be left with Rory Hachimura and Austin Reeves.
Got to build around Austin Reeves.
And Rory Hachimura, like,
okay,
if you're a Tech fan, you fear him.
Got a lot of money. Hey, got a lot.
And maybe you want Jay Wright.
Got some cash coming, some contracts coming off the books. You can go build a team. No, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem great. It is kind of funny to see big market teams get humbled by a college coach, though. That's always good. Like, thanks. That's great. That's great life-changing money. But I'll stay here in Connecticut. Yeah, it's not looking great for the Mavs. Game one, not great. Started okay. I'm not going to break it down by quarter, but obviously getting down 29, whatever it was, you saw Porzingis playing his first game in many, many days, not missing. The Mavs outside of Luka in that first game, you saw a lot of guys who looked like the moment was too big for them, getting flustered, missing their assignments. And for some reason, my biggest takeaway in that game one was why in the first half, why is everybody going at Porzingis? Why are people trying to take it to him at the rim? Like, you saw people, it's like they forgot that he is a wiry 7'3" guy who is a good rim defender when healthy. I don't know what the move was there, but okay, you can say, look, you got blown out game one. You made a nice run at it. You cut it to 8. I feel like game one was right there. If somebody steps up, and by somebody, I mean maybe Kyrie Irving, because Luka was a big part of that. Luka was great in game one, and nobody else stepped up. And then you see they took him out. I think they had it at 8 or 9. Took him out. Boom. Next thing you know, it's back up to like 16 or something. Okay. Last night, actually a really good game. You're starting to get asshole Luka. He found his guy in the front row, courtside. He found some people to chirp. He's hitting shots. He's hitting great shots. You could be critical of the free throws. He wasn't great from the line. Okay. But he's the only guy out there generating offense and hitting shots. And he's getting his guys, the role players and Kyrie, the ball. And he's getting them wide open shots, and they're missing them. And Kyrie doesn't look good. Kyrie's getting locked down by Drew Holiday, who, by the way, has been the best player for them in this series. You could maybe argue Jaylen Brown. But I think Drew Holiday's been the key for them. That was a great pickup. That was a really, really good pickup because he is a outstanding defender. And the guy just like is sneaky. He finishes around the rim and he's always right there. And he's locking down Kyrie. And last night, uh, it was just a bad end of the third quarter. You had a chance to cut it to 2. You got PJ driving. They did not call a very, very obvious push in the back. Instead, you get the memes of 2 different people blocking him as he's like falling forward. Okay, so that cuts it to 2. You still need them to fuck up some free throws and then maybe give a chance to tie or win it at with the last possession. Who knows? Either way, you shouldn't be in that position. Somebody's going to have to step up. And Lively, Gafford have not been good. They're kind of getting played out of the series. They're having to guard Al Horford and Porzingis out there on the perimeter. They're not able to clog up the paint like they've done in the past. And like, dude, the lob threat, they had a couple lobs last night, but the lob threat's not there. And look, it turns out the Celtics, like we said, are just a better team. They really are. And in order to beat a team that's better than you, you need to have your 2 best players play at the top of their ability. And you have one who's doing that. And you have the other one who happens to be the biggest storyline in the series. And he is MIA at this point.
Right, on all accounts. I want to emphasize a moment from last night, or a couple things. It was their worst 3-point shooting game of the season. 6 threes was a season low for the Mavs, which you would think that would be reflective of a got blown out by 20 game. If you're going to have your worst live by the 3, die by the 3 kind of game, you get absolutely embarrassed if you have your worst 3-point shooting game. There was a stretch where both teams, I think, were combined 1 for 15 from 3 in the third quarter. But the difference was that the Celtics went on a 10-0 run because they were able to finish driving the ball. The Mavs were getting in position. The Celtics defense was just effective enough to make sure that they weren't closing out their drives, or that they were making an extra pass when they didn't really want to and maybe shouldn't have, or possibly could have forced the issue. They were afraid of the defense. Their defense was effective. It disrupted that ability to like have a 2-point alternative. And then what possibly might have been my least, or my most hated, least favorite moment of this series so far. Right before the time expires, was it right before half or right before the third quarter? I don't recall.
Right before the third.
Mavs cut it down to 2 or 3. It doesn't matter. And then insert one random Southie from Boston, whom I've never seen in my entire life. They hand him the ball as a part of a Make-A-Wish Foundation moment.
Okay.
And he proceeds to heave up a 3 from about 35 feet back.
Peyton
and without
Pritchard.
question, Peyton Pritchard, without question, it's before time expires. It goes in, and you would have thought he was reciting all of the Marshall Mathers LP in slow-mo as they were cutting to commercial. And thank you to whoever was calling the game, who reminded everyone around America who didn't know who this guy was, who said, and Peyton Pritchard with his first points of the finals.
Yeah, that was a tough deal. Played at Oregon. I wonder if he's actually from Oregon as well. Interesting. So not
again,
Southie. You were close. He gives Southie. You're right. They love him there for a number of reasons, I'm sure.
I saw memes saying that fucking KP was like reminding fans of a former Celtics great, referring to Scalabrini, I believe. And I was like, do not insult fucking Kristaps Porzingis by comparing to Scalabrini. Scalabrini was was great in his own right. No more so than I respect like Brian Cardinal, and he was, had more staying power than that. But like Kristaps is a certified star on multiple levels.
That's very
Scalabrini was a role
insulting.
player.
No, KP's been great, and he wasn't great offensively last night, but like Scalabrini, okay, whatever.
Anyways, I'm hoping that, wow, I was about to discuss myself. I hate that I feel excited about the potential that KP is hobbled a little bit. Only because all of the reports of Luka being questionable before the game and the blowback to anybody who doesn't know shit about Luka was like trying to say that these are excuses. Like,
that's crazy.
It's like game 104 for these people.
He was never in doubt that he was going to play. Luka was always going to play. He is not the dude who's going to sit out a fucking he's not going to sit out a finals game, let alone any playoff game for that. But I don't know. The sternum injury does sound really, really detrimental to the point guard. But people always like to point out like, oh yeah, if he's so hurt, why'd he play so well? Well, maybe he's just that fucking dude. Maybe he's the guy everybody thought he was. And he is. He's the best player in the series. He's just he's not on the best team. Not at all. I do expect them. Look, we're going to win game 3. We are winning game 3. Our role players are going to step up, right? I thought about this last night as I was lying down in bed, because this is what I do after a Mavs loss. I really gauge like how I feel about it. I felt really, really bad after the that Mavs Thunder series was rough on my sleep, because I lost a lot of sleep because I was like, damn, dude, this is tough. This is doable. It's doable. If we can get it to 7, I like our chances. But the Celtics, man, they're a fucking nasty, nasty team, because everybody out there shoots threes, makes threes, and they all defend. And they've got the best role player. Derek White is out there like looking like he would be the third best player on the Mavs. Like, he is having a great series as well. So it's doable. We got to get 2 at home, and that can be done. And don't let me forget to remind everybody, we were down 0-2 against the Suns a couple years ago. A 1 seed won. So now that team was a lot different than that Mavs team. That was Mavs, Jalen Brunson. That was Luka, Jalen Brunson, and co. Dwight Powell's getting big minutes. They're down 0-2. And Mavs come back, win it in 7. That was the blowout. That was the Luka insane Game 7 game. And
can I give you a little more history to help?
Please, I need it. I need it.
The last 2-0 finals lead was Phoenix in 2021 against the Milwaukee Bucks. They lost that series 4-2. Cleveland was down 2-0 to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they won that one in 7.
Blew a 3-1 lead.
And obviously you've got the 2-0
Mavs Heat
2006 lead on the Heat. Far from over. I do think that Jason Tatum is not going to win MVP or anyone's like comments of he's the best player in their team, which is ridiculous to like have the discussion about, I think. But the dude is everything you would want out of a player. He has not been put in a position where he has to be the absolute megastar in a moment in this series or really these playoffs, but he is not disappointed in any area of his game.
No, he's fine. And like, it doesn't matter if they win at all. If it doesn't matter if they win and he's the third or even like the 4th best player or most important player on their team. Because right now you could argue Jaylen Brown, KP, just what he does on the defense, and then also like we said, Drew Holiday. But yeah, dude, it's the Jason Kidd thing. The kind of throwing that in the water, saying that that's their best player. Don't forget, Jason Kidd's down to do some fuckery. We've seen this before. This is the guy who once had a player bump into him to spill, so he could fake like he spilled a Coke or a drink. So they would they would have to come clean it up and give them an extra timeout. Yeah, he's done that. He's also the same when I can't remember what series it was or what game it was back when he was still playing, when an opposing coach was actually on the floor during play, and he went out of his way to bump into him, thus getting a T on that team. And like, he's savvy and he's not opposed to this kind of stuff. Um, if it ends up working, that's one thing. But um, I didn't really care for it. Why do that? I don't know. I feel like the Celtics they seem to be a mentally tough team, and that's what worries you also, because you named like those teams like that 05, 06 Mavs team that blew the 2-0 lead, and then also the Suns, that Suns team that's come up twice now. This is a Celtics team that's been to the finals and lost twice, right? It's not like they're just getting there and they're easily shook. So it's going to be tough. I fully believe they can get two at home, and then that game five, you always hear game five. That's who wins the series, right? So I still believe. I am very disappointed. Would have loved to have come out of there with a split, but Boston is just a very very good team, and not really, honestly, outside of their fan base, the team itself not particularly hateable. Like, this isn't like the Timberwolves. This isn't like a chippy series yet. Maybe it'll get there, but like, I don't think there's a lot of bad blood.
Derek White might be the only one in that, and I think it's just because I still see a Spurs uniform. Which it's weird because I don't have like this vitriol for the Spurs, but he still was like the tail end of the, Ginobili era in my head. Really part of the Kawhi era, if anything. But like those years of the Spurs, I just can't. I cannot really urge myself to like anything until post Kawhi and like Pop's like emergence as the SJW that he is. But
SJW.
I just don't know what it is. Yeah, I threw that out. For the algorithm.
Speaking of,
but yeah, I don't know what it is. Derek White's the guy that I just don't love. Drew Holiday, I absolutely think he's amazing as a person, as a player. Everything that like people in Wisconsin have said about him, like since he departed, everything I saw about him before that, genuine dude.
yeah,
Nothing to say.
Nothing bad to say about him. But speaking of SJWs, you had something you wanted to say about Caitlin Clark getting left off the Olympic team. I'll just give you the platform. We can close it out here.
Knew there was another hoop story that we weren't getting to.
Hey,
she
man.
was named as an alternate.
Okay.
So
this is the right take, and it's like, man, you're seeing a lot of people who have never followed women's basketball in any capacity now chime in on making up the development of like the roster. And that was really funny to watch unfold. It kind of comes down to like they're not serious about growing the game if they're not going to put her on it. Okay. That is an argument, and I don't necessarily agree. She's played how many games? 12? She's
12,
played
13-ish.
She's played 12 or 13 games, right? USA is going to win no matter what, and it's not going to be particularly close. They've lost like 3 games ever, right?
Whoa.
Is that a hot
who
take?
are you talking about? US? Yes. I'm sorry. I thought for a second I was still hung up on us talking about Caitlin Clark, and I'm like, no, they've won like 3 games out of those 13.
No.
Yes, US women's basketball, yes, is a unit, an absolute unit.
11 appearances. Yeah, they went gold. 84, 88, 96, 2000, 2004, 08, 2012, 2016, 2020. Look, it's the fact that she's found herself as like the crux of the culture war right now really sucks for her. Really, really sucks. And I don't know what she can do. Does she have to be more vocal and be like, y'all, it's not, she came out. She did have a statement. She's like, yeah, it's something I want to work towards. And
What?
What?
Not seen that headline.
Yeah, she commented on being left
Like,
off.
it's a Pride Month thing?
Okay. No, she didn't come out. It's a come out of the closet joke is what he's doing here. I would like to look over at Dylan and like have him just look at me with just glazed eyes.
Come on, KJ.
Come
on. She said everything you could ask, is I think what you're going to say. Like everything you could want her to say after the Kennedy Carter interaction. And after this, I think she said it's something to work towards, which she's doing all the right things.
It says a lot about the popularity of the women's game that no one flamed us for mispronouncing that poor young lady from Mansfield's name the entire episode. And we even questioned it. We were like, wait, are we sure we're getting this right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So much so that we had to leave it out of the clip.
I respect the integrity of this show because genuinely we had a back and forth discussion over this afterwards in which like there was some concern and we didn't want to be that wrong. Not just to look like idiots, but we didn't want to be that wrong about something like that. I'll say this last thing. The point was there's a lot of experts in a world in which they know nothing about, right? Talking about women's basketball, not college basketball right now. I don't think that this is singular to women's basketball or women's sports. I think that they're just understanding how Exhibit A, our show, and sports media and sports conversations in general occur. You're just now a part of a conversation. As somebody who's a fan of a really bad NFL team, the Jags, nothing bothered me more than having to endure 8.5 to 9 months of everybody in the world caring whether or not your head coach was sticking his hand down someone's pants in public after a loss and whether or not he flew back with his team. Like, why do you care about the coach of the Jags? You didn't care yesterday. Why do you now feel like he should be fired?
At his own bar and grill.
But exactly. But that's how sports conversations occur. You don't have to be an expert. And that now applies also to women's sports.
Well,
it's not that it's treating them different. It's just you're now getting treated the same, which, sorry.
It's
the way it's going to happen.
I usually defer. In fact, I will defer. I follow a number of Mavs-specific accounts on Twitter who have been into the WNBA for at least a couple years. And I usually just look to them. I'm like, what's their take? Okay. There you go. Because I admittedly have not been the best Dallas Wings fan. But KJ, the other person I look to is former Governor Mike Huckabee, who tweeted, I was looking forward to watching Caitlin Clark play for the U.S. Olympic team as she has ignited interest in women's sports. But the geniuses running the team left her off. I'll just watch cartoons. What about you? Randy, do you think he's watching the same cartoons as you?
He might be watching anime. I don't know. Maybe some Attack on Titan.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Mike. He tweeted as he was restringing his bass guitar.
Shouts to Fieldy for performing, or actually it wasn't Fieldy, of course, because Huckabee, as you said, was on bass.
Oh no!
Shouts to Head.
It was Brian, former Korn member,
Brian
now
Head.
back. He had left the band to find God, and I think he's back in Korn now. So shout out to him. Don't know what that
To
does
find
for
money.
the religion thing. Great point. I don't got anything else. KJ, do you?
Check out Sovereign's Reign, Randy, or Scavenger's Reign. Maybe that's what I should want to say, not Sovereign.
Oh, yeah.
Scavenger's
On
Reign.
HBO. Netflix. Too.
And Netflix season 2. That's all I got. There's your anime plug of the day. Scavenger's Reign.
That's technically not anime, but yeah, sure. There you go.
Okay. You just mansplained. He anime-splained to you. All right, no running back
No
today.
tentacles.
We'll be back. Full squad next week. Bye-bye.
I want my chips with the dip. That's all I know. I don't want my chips plain. I want my chips with the dip. So bring them dips.